So all that
Welcome. This
rambling
is
I
the
did
DNX.
this morning.
Well, you fucked it up. I fucking said I was going. Now I'm streaming live. So the very beginning of the stream, they're going to hear me fucking say, "Welcome to the DNX Show." We do this every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. My name's Todd Ryan. I do this show with Josh Reason. Don't know if Josh is even here. Oh, there. No, that's Jason looking down at this motherfucker. And then I was going to. I mean, basically, you could fuck up a free lunch, Arif. But thanks for being here. Well, okay. So now we were already talking. We we,
Sorry.
we went. We were talking earlier. We don't get streaming till Josh gets here, but he's running late today. He's got fucking bunch of kids and stuff. I guess they're back in school, and it's cold up in Jacksonville, anywhere, wherever he's at. I think he's in Jacksonville. Yeah. So it's cold up there too. Serves him right when he comes here. I'll tell him. I guess it was like 30. Felt like it was 15. All right. But we're talking about uh, Arif. So you had some sales. It sounds like five so far in January 2026. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll review a little bit what we had before. We went live streaming. Basically, I have had 5 sales. Like it's really, really great start to the year for me. 2 of them were like the transactions were kind of agreed upon. I think one was on the 30th, one was on the 31st. But I only count my sales on when I get the actual payments. And in fairness, usually my afternic payments are really, really quick. Like sometimes within a day. But I think because of the holidays and whatnot. And because one was the domain buy service, um, it was a little bit slower because they had domain buy service. You can't delete old payment systems, so it went to one that was set for my PayPal. The title was PayPal, but it was actually going to my Good as Gold, which I didn't think existed anymore. But anyways, long story short, 2 of those sales were really at the start of the year and on paper for me, and then I've had 3 other ones since then. The third one was a LTO of 3K. I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, 3K. And then I had another 10K sale, which I rambled on about just before, where there was an issue where I paid 30% commission, which kind of hurt because the first 10K sale I had 0 commission. Anyways, and then I had just yesterday or 2 days ago another 3K, buy it now sale. So pretty good. I'm not quite 50% my costs for the year already at the end of June, but I'm well over 40% and closing in 50%. Yeah, very, very close, like a high 40%. So that's great. Have half your costs for the whole year in the first month. It's good. I don't know. I don't know if everybody else is having success like that. Maybe it was a bit of pent up demand, and I don't know, but I'm pretty happy.
So you're at how many names now? 4,500.
No, no, I'm above, almost exactly 5,000. I have a little bit over 5,000, but I have like 100 and something domains that are like my personal domains. So, I'd say it's like 5,000 or, within plus or minus under 100 type of thing.
And since they're you got a couple different registrars, but do you just average $10? Do you say $10 for renewal on average, or
Yeah,
so
my
that's why
head
you're
right
figuring
now.
about 50 grand?
Yeah, so that's going in my head right now. Obviously it's now $11 in theory on average, but if you're taking advantage of those unstoppable transfers at like $5-6, that changes the math too. So I'm not really counting at that. I'm still counting about $10 in my head. So yeah, I'm in the early. Well, I have 2 actually. Holy crap! Wait, no, hold on. Well, okay, because I was counting commission. So without the commission, I'm over half because I have 2 10Ks, 2 3Ks, and one of the first ones from last year that closed right at the start. That was like a domain I was going to drop. I listed for 2K. I had a good year last year, and I have my make offer minimum at 50% of my actual buy it now price. Somebody made a $1,000 offer, and it was a domain I was going to drop. And so I was like, end of the year, like, you know what? Just I'll be happy. It was a domain or domain, right? Domain that contained the word I can't remember, like brands or domain or name or something like that. I go, you know what, fellow domainer, I just said yes. It's like okay, end of the year with a nice little tiny little sale. I rarely have those kinds of sales because nowadays I think my minimum pricing is like it's 2.5 grand or something like that, and most of mine are higher than that. So that was my big difference last year. So last year, I think I mentioned this a bit when I was like 2 weeks ago, and I was hosting the show while you guys were in Vegas. I mentioned that my sales volume last year was noticeably down. I don't know the exact percentage, but well under 1%, right? And but conversely, my average sales price was like way up. Like in the past, I think my average was about maybe 3,000. Maybe the year before, like the year before last, maybe it's a little bit more than that, but not a lot more. And then this past year, I think my average sale was like 5K. I had like multiple 5-figure sales, which I don't think I've ever had before. I think I've only had one 5-figure sale per year, most years, and even then, like prior to 3 years ago, I don't think I've had any. So things are going up, and I'm pretty happy with things are going.
Well, I mean, five a month would be 60 for the year, more than 1% sell-through rate. But still, the numbers you're
Yeah.
doing, if you did these type of numbers, dollar volume, dollar amounts. So I want to ask you specifically because I this last $10,000 sale. Okay, you're right. Why did it expire? I mean, that's really not my important question. Except, geez, it seems like it's a valuable name. You sold it for 10 grand. Why?
Yeah.
Why did it expire? Is it just because you were running late, transferring it to Spaceship?
Yeah, it's
You
just
weren't
all my
planning on
personal stuff.
dropping it.
Yeah, and I was planning on transferring it to Unstoppable, but I do it in batches. And last year, I was actually really aggressive with the number of domains I let drop. Over previous years, I really didn't do anything. I think you more than anybody else knows I was, those domains I was like borderline with. I wanted to do a portfolio sale, but like every year I kind of slacked off. I got as far as actually making the list, I think 1 or 2 years ago, but never really pushing it. Like I mentioned it in a couple of rooms, but I never really go around to it. And every year I'd sell a couple of domains out of there, right? So, but anyways, I still push him to shove. I go, you know what? These are domains I think are a little bit, I really want to grade my quality a little bit slowly. I'm not the type of person to have to drop domains. But like, I'm at the point now where okay, I have a better gut check. I go, these ones have a lower likelihood of selling at the multiple I want. They no longer fit into the math. I'm like really going through my stuff with a little, magnifying glass, a little bit more carefully than the past. So this past year, I dropped a few hundred domains. And so, but what happens is I always do it at the last minute. Like when it comes time to renewing, or in this case, a lot of my domains I was transferring some from Spaceship to Unstoppable because of the promotions, and so I do it in batches. But when I had all my like I have again you guys know I won't get into too much, but like my crazy family of 3 family members with serious mental health issues I'm trying to take care of. I'm back at work. I lost my dog. I smashed my ankle. All this stuff. My focus on domains is not what it is, which is what I love about domains. Right? It's not a bad thing in one sense. It's a good thing. Like all these things are happening. I can't devote the time to domains. I'm still making money, right? That's the beautiful thing about this business. Everybody does it differently, So in some cases, the way some people do this business, they can't do that. But I can take my foot off the gas, do 1 or 2 hours a week corresponding with a broker or offers, and that's all I need to do, and I still make my same number of sales. So, in that sense, what happened was, I think I can't remember when it expired, but in that month, I go, hey, it expires, doesn't matter to me. I always, transfer it. There's no danger. Like I know I'll transfer a batch with a whole month of stuff in one shot. But what happened was this specific domain, when I did transfer it, it was after it expired at Spaceship. And usually when you renew a domain at Spaceship, well, they put back your who is information, and they put back the landing pages that you have set, when you renew the domains. But when you do the transfer, I'll just learn now, they don't do that. And it's something I just never thought of, right? Like, I just assume that, when you renew a domain, well, you get your old stuff back. But, in fairness to Spaceship, they have no idea, what my who is information was for that specific domain. They're not going to change it because they don't have that data, right? It should be, up to Spaceship to change it back before they, transfer it out, or up to me to
Okay,
do
on this
that.
name,
In
you were
theory,
transferring from who to where to where?
from Spaceship to Unstoppable.
Okay, and then okay. So anyway, about this $10,000 name, how long did you own that one? Where did you pick it up? I mean, can you tell us what you paid for that? I mean, was it a real
Oh,
cheap
hold
one?
on.
$20,
I'll
five,
get I'll get to my computer. I can say the first oops, ouch, oh my ankle, sorry. My first the 10K one. That was one I bought last year. I didn't have a price on it. I didn't have it listed. That was somebody who contacted Domain Buy Service at GoDaddy, and I think they actually contacted other people too. But anyways, I ended up getting that one for 10K. No, I bought that one. That one was last year. I bought a few domains last year at auction. So that domain specifically, I had bought at $100. It was low 3 figures. I wasn't listed. So like that's just you buy a good domain, people find you sometimes. The other one, hold on, find here. Here we go. The other one, I bought in 2018 for it was a closeout, $5 closeout. So I sold that for 10K. So 7-year. Oh God, yeah, 7 years. I got December. Yeah, so I probably just transferred it, and probably actually that's weird. I think I did my bachelor's stuff before that, but anyhow.
Anyway, so you had
So
80 bucks in that name and you sold it for 10 grand. And even though that was messed up, the maximum commission 30% because you didn't have the name servers at Afternic and it was on Boost, so you paid the 30%. Still enormous return. But Arif,
yeah,
so the beginning of last year, um, did you have 4,000 names and then you have 5,000 now? I'm just trying to get a gauge for because I got a
no,
good
I can't,
memory.
I
I'll
can't. I
remember.
know last year there was a batch of time where I did about over 3 months, about 1,000 domains. I don't know if that was like starting I think in Aprilish. I don't know if I didn't buy anything since. I just haven't had the time for it. I don't know if I did a little push in the beginning of the year, but maybe not. But yeah, approximately
Let's just
that.
say
Let's put it that
you picked up 1,000 last year.
way. Yeah.
Average price $20, $30. Did you spend 20,000 on any names last year? 30,000, 40,000. I mean, a lot of people they'll spend. We know if Josh shows up, spend that on one name. At least you're picking up a lot of
Yeah.
names. Now we know there's a lot of renewals with them too. But how much do you
Maybe-
think you spent on new
I would
names
say
last year?
I would say it was definitely under 25K. Might have been under 20K. Because I did last year. I did go into buying some stuff at auction, but the minority of my domains that I bought last year, sorry, yeah, were at auction. The vast majority is still my bread and butter closeout stuff, the stuff that I just I spend a couple hours a night looking at the list. I find stuff that other people miss, and I wait for them to go cheap. And there's a risk, right? Like I will never always get all of them, right? It's always like maybe a third that you end up getting. But again, when you're building a portfolio at volume, you don't need to get them all, right? You just need to get a good enough number, and the quality still needs to be there. The real important thing is that you don't sacrifice quality for your little tricks and trying to wait for things to go longer, because if you go below a certain quality threshold, really as an investor, those domains are worth zero, which is what happens to most people, right? They get stuff they're good domains, in theory, on paper, yeah, it's a good domain. Yeah, I would use it if I had a business and I wanted to pay hand reg for it, whatever it is. But for somebody who's going to buy it for 3K or 5K or 10K, you need to have something that's more than just a good domain. You have to have very good domains, and you get them at the right prices. So
Well,
I'm
Arif, I was gonna say,
not organized. I can't answer half your questions, but I'm happy because
no
I'm
one else
getting results.
no one else really has anything to share. It doesn't matter they don't share. People would dream about, I mean, especially most of the folks in here. Now I got less than 1,000 names now. Or I probably have a little more than 1,000. I guess not, maybe 950 at GoDaddy and then another 250 over at some other place, 4 or 5 different other spots. And I'm about ready to pick up another 50 or to 100 names because I got this unstoppable credit of $500 we'll talk about. Josh is on his way in. He's digging out of the snow. No, there's no snow down there, but it's cold. But he'll be here shortly. But Arif,
And you guys
people,
can't use those excuses. I'm in Montreal, man. You can't use those excuses.
right? My old man, he's on my farm in Indy, and he said in southern Indiana, and he tried to back out the car out of the fucking barn, and didn't go 10 feet. The other day he knew he was going to get stuck. He didn't do it, pulled back in. But the day he went 15 feet out of the garage, he's already stuck, 20 inches of snow. 88 years old. Him and his young girlfriend can't push the car out of him anyway. It's of course it's ridiculous there. Um, okay, let me get
Yeah.
Josh up here
So
and I'll tell
so
him where what we've been talking about because it's usually interesting. Arif, I mean, like I said, people would dream about having your stories to tell about just domain activity, domain sales, and all this stuff. Most of the folks don't share. They don't have anything. I mean, to share. It's a bitch, but it's true, and that is they don't have really any sales, and it goes for months at a time. I know, including myself. Now I'm, like I said, lower on the number of names in the portfolio, but 2 or 3 months, and then they have one, and you know. From your stories, we learn, okay, yeah, one thing to do is if you had to renew an expired name and you're transferring, one, make sure to check your landing page, your servers, and all that stuff to make sure things are how you want them. Otherwise, it can cost you some, a lot of dough. Hey, Josh, welcome to the show. What's going on? Is everything pretty cold down there where you're at? What's happening today? Yeah, I'm acting all nice now. I was pissed off just about 5 minutes ago. Hey, Josh, are you there? Let's do a mic check.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, Florida kind of skipped the whole cold thing last week, but it is cold now.
Yeah, I saw that. It's at Jacksonville, and I was thinking about you, JT, buddy Danny. I know he's from there, but a lot of it basically it was like said 30, wind chill 15 or 20, and yeah, of course I was outside 73 laughing, thinking fucking Florida. All right, so Jason came up here too. He probably wants to say something, but I'm gonna get you up to speed, Josh, in just a second on what we've been discussing. Basically, Arif's had some sales, but hey, Jason, are you on stage? What's up?
Yeah, I'm here. Hey, what's going on? Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. What's going on?
Yeah, no, thanks for joining
What is
us. Well,
up?
we know you're down. My mom's in West Palm right
No,
now.
I
Yeah.
haven't really had any sales. I had a $15,000 offer with actually a buy it now with Afternic, and I had a huge issue with Afternic. I didn't realize, none of the customer support representatives could help, and I had to escalate the issue, and even the higher reps couldn't figure it out. The sale wasn't in my account, and it was linked to my old AOL account. I had like some SCMP server errors where I couldn't have access to my AOL email for like a couple of weeks. So I finally got access to it again, and then that's where I noticed the sale. So I went to my buyer's control panel, seller's panel, and after Nick, there's nothing there because I connect, because the new thing now, you connect your GoDaddy account with the Afternic account, right? They did this merge, a couple years ago or a year ago. So, I did that whole process. Coming to realize, someone looked, deeper in the system. They found that, about 8, 9 years ago, remember when Uni Registry merged into Afternic? So I think, like a slew of my names, like 25 or 30 names were still listed at Afternic in my old account from like 8 years ago with my old pricing, for my .ios. So that's how one of the .ios triggered at 15 grand, where it sold on like Afternic, and I'm like, what the fuck, I don't recall negotiating the sale with anyone or any Afternic brokers. I received no emails, no calls, no nothing. I don't know where this name is, So, of course I found it. It's just, first off, it's a really good name. And, it doesn't seem like, I told Afternick, to pound sand, I mean, I'll be okay with the sale, if I end up with the, the funds. But the problem is, after the sale, 15 grand, 20%, 25%, 30%, whatever it is, I end up with $12,000, which is fucking peanuts. It's still money in my account. However, it's just crazy because then I went back to, GoDaddy to type in, into the, into the premium network where, this name's available for sale or not. So I'm typing a couple of the names like Pawn, PAWN.io. It's for sale for like fucking like 10 grand. So Pawn has been sitting on the open market for the past 6, 7 years, but surprisingly, no one grabbed it. So some of these names have been sitting on the open market for 10 or 15 grand for quite
Okay,
some
hold on.
time.
Shut up for a minute. Shut up. Okay, no, I can say that
Yeah,
because
sorry, sorry.
no,
Yeah.
okay, anyway.
But
So,
but there's more to it.
okay,
Yeah.
no, and then and we're
Yeah.
gonna really get to it. But you were basically saying that you have these names aren't at GoDaddy registrar, are they? That's why
They are.
they are. But you sold it and you sold it on Afternic at the buy it now price, but yet you didn't you didn't transfer it. It's not in fast transfer. I mean, you didn't.
Correct. Yeah, it was an old account that I had no idea. It was like after Nick. My username is like Uni, short for like Uni Registry, 157852 or some shit, you know. So
So
I'm
what
like,
have
oh
they said
man.
to you? What have they said to you? Hey, we sold this name. Did they
No
get
one will
payment?
call me. I cannot get in contact with anyone. Like you know, their name is in what they do. You know, after Nick. You know, they go after, you know, the handle to get to the buyer or the seller. And no, they just don't contact me. So you know, and that's part of the issue is, you know, now that I have two accounts now, they told me that there's no phone number on my old account or my new account. I have no idea. So, you know, in the past 7 years that I've been with Afternic, no one has ever picked up the phone and bothered to call me, you know, to, you know, for a sale. Like I've never, like, not even someone has, you know, picked up the phone to say, hey, you know, but I'm your,
I'm your
you know,
account
lead
rep because
assistant
even I
over
have
at
an
like
account
Afternic.
rep and I do no business. Hold on, Jason, because we're not going
Yeah.
anywhere. We're going to be here for another hour and a half. Josh,
Sorry
has
for, you know, taking up
no
this, you know,
no sweat. No,
situation.
I'm
So,
glad you're here, and you and Eric for sharing a lot of stuff that people hopefully they'll go through someday, and that is offers, sales, and dealing this in most of the things you're both talking about dealing with Afternick, and that's where most of the sales come from. Josh, have you ever sold something on Afternick, but you don't have it in fast transfer? I mean, I guess I'm sure you have, but then can you just not follow through? I mean, I guess you can, and then they could, you know, remove your account. But does what Jason's saying make sense to you?
um, I'm sure, man, to be honest, I no doubt. But yeah,
Are you in the car?
do this.
You just went at.
I mean, you do. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can't. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that don't complete the sale if it's not fast transfer. So yeah.
I mean, the thing is, so basically, Jason, you didn't have it listed in your new account. You only had, say, Pawn.io listed at a lower price from years ago in your old account. In your new account, do you have it listed just as a make offer? Because that's what I've done recently. Got rid of all my pricing, and I was going to talk about an offer I got. But okay, so
well,
is it listed in your new
the
account?
thing in my the thing in my new account, the names weren't listed. You know, it had those 30, you know, names that were pending, you know, and I couldn't figure out why, you know, the names weren't being added into my account. And then I come to realize that's because they were added to, you know, one of my other accounts that was linked to, you know, uni registry account back in my AOL account, you know, which I've never been emailed before in the past,
Well, if you,
you know,
I'll
7 or
give you
8
the phone
years.
number of
And,
a
you know,
rep
the
over
old
there
account.
at Afternick, then I'm sure he'll help you. And then that way, I mean,
Yeah, I
I'm
just have two
surprised you don't have a rep.
accounts. That's all.
Huh?
Well, it's kind of shitty. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
well, interesting. So the one you sold, you said you sold one for 15 grand. Did it just, do you get the normal email? Congratulations, this sold. Did it buy it now? And you just thought, wait a minute, you know, and you just did not complete the transfer, right? So it's still
well, it was linked to my AOL account, which I didn't have access to for a couple of weeks. And then when I logged back in, I was getting those emails. We've been trying to call you. We've been trying to email you. We've been trying to, you know, do everything to get in touch with you, but no one has ever picked up the phone and called my phone. So
all right. I'll give you a
So did the
number.
sale go through, or did the sale fall apart?
I guess it's not going through. Yeah.
Sucks.
Well, you didn't want it to go through. If you wanted it to go through, then I mean, we don't know if they collected the money. Which I mean, the interesting story. You know, most people don't even have
They
it.
did collect the money.
They did
Yeah.
collect the money, and you're going to have to
Now they got
cancel,
to refund the. Yeah, I don't
refund
know.
the buyer.
So I mean, do, I mean the auth code is still transferable, so I can still, you know, punch in the auth code there. But
Right. If you wanted to move the name, all right. But I like okay. Peanuts, 12 grand. Uh, Josh, I wanted to say real quick before you got here. Yeah. So when I opened the room, the very first person that comes in is Billy, and then he leaves. I see Billy here now. I just wanted to say why Billy's here. Yeah, Billy, it's like a party. It's like, hey, Billy, it's Todd. I'm having a party, and you're the first one here. And he's like, doesn't even say hi. He just goes back into his car and fucking drives away. Fucking Billy. And he's like, yeah, I'll come back when there's somebody there. Fucking and get the food ready, Todd, as he yells out his window. But no, so it's nice to see Billy here. Josh, did you do a Sherpa this week, or did you do one on Tuesday? Yep, you're on mute. Oh, this is going really good. Pretty smooth today. Yeah, Josh.
mentions
I
I think I
mean,
saw somewhere this-
I'm on mute because I'm not talking. I'm not.
Well, no, I was asking you,
part of
were
the
you on Sherpa
conversation.
this year? Were you on Sherpa
Give me a
this week? I
second.
mean, Tuesday.
No, we didn't have one.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you in your car?
Someone keeps muting me.
Not me.
No, I didn't have a Sherpa this week.
Someone keeps me. It's probably your connection. Listen, no one. I got plenty of things to say to you. I want you to stay off mute. I noticed you're getting political on the motherfucking internet. But first, I want to say about DNX. So DNX is a lot of work. I mean, this fucking Discord. You got a lot of stuff going on there. I bought a name off DNX. Did you see which one I bought, Josh? Do you know? Can you? I mean, you know which ones people buy. So did you see the one I bought? This fucking effing guy. You can't hear him, can
People
you, Eric?
talking or what's going on? I'll talk. You can talk to me, bro. I bought something, this week.
Yeah, you talking about the .eth that you bought?
Yeah, I snapped back into the .eth names. I'm sure you saw the post. I bought donate.eth for donations.com contract address.
Yeah, no, I mean, he spent more than a lot of us spend on .coms, I can tell you that. Low 5 figures, huh? Real low.
No, if you
Jesus.
compare it to the .coms, it was fucking cheap as shit. What's 10 grand in the .com space? You said, dude, people sell names in the space for a lot more than 10 grand. So,
Well, you mean in
Wait,
the
you bought
.eth
for
space?
10K? Is that what you're saying?
I spent 3.75 Ethereum or 3.5 Ethereum, whatever that breaks down to. So, yeah, about 11 or 10.5 or 10.8 or some
Yeah,
shit.
Eric, if you don't get
Because
them in the
even me, who's like, advises people, to stay away from blockchain names as investment things, like that's still a good domain. Like I'll be the first to say, like if you're gonna venture that
Right.
kind of stuff, there's gonna be uses. Ethereum, like that blockchain has usage. So I still think, like, I don't think I'd ever imagine paying 5 figures for a blockchain domain of any kind. But if you're gonna get one, like donate, that has usage and like good
Right.
usage. People
Right.
think that people think
Thank
that
you.
like
Yeah.
charity stuff is like, oh, there's no money because it's all nonprofits. That is completely untrue. It's like the total opposite. There's
So,
huge money in charity.
with donate.eth, there could be a lot of utility where someone can, people can get the subdomains to their donate.eth, if they register, to the site. So they can get like rf.donate.eth. So, they can get their own string instead of like a long ETH name. It's verifiable. It shows the people. And it's a contract address that you can route to. So if people don't have a Ethereum address, they can instantly create a Ethereum address, but it's it's linked to donate.eth. So when the payment address is created, it creates a new 0x address, and then they can pay right to donate.eth that routes right to their contract address. So that's how I can take a little
I don't
like percentage or of the donation.
I don't do blockchain at all. I'm not into that at all. Like, I mean, I still appreciate the technology. I think there's going to be usage there, and this is exactly that usage. Like, you have a very clear, memorable for people who do blockchain. A domain, or a name, or whatever you want to call it, namespace. And yeah, like the Cancer Society donate like I can see people, like a Cancer Society using that, and have people pay, with their Ethereum wallet, and it's just like that makes sense. Like, there's very few cases, I think, where these type of things make sense, but that's one that does. So yeah.
So with the Ethereum also, with domains, right? You don't know who the seller is or who owns these, Ethereum. So it goes a little deeper in that, where it's kind of fascinating. Someone actually posted this article on Twitter where I was reading, where the only way now to get a .eth is on the expiry. If the name drops, almost like a .com, but there's only one place where you can get it. It's not like there's multiple registrars that you can actually compete with. So now it's like it's a temporary premium registration where they drop price every minute. So whoever like Atom.eth was just sold for 30 grand. 10.5 Ethereum or some shit this morning. Like 8 hours ago. So,
Atom, the name, or Atom, like the company that we know with DARPA?
no, ADAM, Atom. Like first name. Yeah. So
That's
that was just
bonkers.
sold.
Like, I don't understand that. That I don't get. Anyways, go ahead.
Right. It's a first name though, but so it's pretty much you have to make an offer. Like prime example, like Atom, you have to just hope to spend 25 Ethereum and hope the person accepts or they don't. You don't know who the seller is, or the option number two is to catch it on the expiry and still pay a premium price before anyone else does. Like I did. That's the only way to get them.
So I really don't want to dive into the blockchain name server things right now, because I don't know if Todd wants that. But just out of curiosity,
right. That's why I ended with that
but I'm still curious. But the expired, so the money that goes there, where does that go? Who profits from the expired domains?
It goes to the ENS Foundation. So the funds go to them for further development. So the ecosystem can keep rolling and function.
Nice, huh?
Okay,
Atom.com
cool.
or Atom.eth for that 30 grand. Sorry to chime in here, but yeah. Anyway, Arif, it's I have Todd Ryan.eth, and I have several other. But anyway, like to have Todd, but it's easy. Paul sent me some money a long time ago, basically for something I can't remember, just a little bit of crypto, just to show that you can just send it right to toddryan.eth, and he so the Atom ADAM.eth, you can see why the person would want it. You see Braden always posted that he was at Braden.eth. Well, yeah, everybody's been waiting around to see if these things get basically used more. So enough with the utility and all this stuff, but are people going to start using them? So Jason gets donate.eth, and you learn, people with crypto, it's only 3.35 ETH. Jason, what's a care? It's peanuts to him. Peanuts like chicken feed. Jason, right now I'm acting like a chicken. Chickens. But yeah, so the how the money gets spent there. Anyway, good luck with that. Hopefully, I'm working.
You got to get a lot of good .com domains on the expiration for 10K.
Yeah,
trust me.
Absolutely. Well, no,
shit.
Hold on. Josh, did you get the $500 UD credit, and have you used yours yet?
No, I actually spoke to Camilla about that today. She said she's sending it out in batches, so not everyone has got it yet.
Do you know if it's only for? Do you know if it's only for attendees or for all members?
Only for attendees.
That sucks.
Yeah, Arif, I did want to say that it was because Unstoppable, Matt and Brady, so generous, and they were really wanting to reward those who had spent money on the ticket to go to the event and really just make the effort to go. But so sorry if I was misleading, saying, because I didn't know if there was anything for non-attendees. But yeah, so I was in batch one, Josh. I already got mine. I'm ready to roll. Hey, on the Unstoppable dashboard, does it show if you're a domain, whatever they call that member, domainer club member? Do you know, Josh, in the Unstoppable dashboard? Does it show if you're a domainer club member?
I don't believe it does. No, I have never seen anything in my account that shows me that I am. So.
Well, before we got off, Arif and Jason, thanks. We're going to keep talking about domains in our portfolio. If anybody wants to come up and really ask Josh, Arif, Jason, and me too, talk about a domain or give you an appraisal. There's a new appraisal tool by Atom out there. Some people are raving about it because it looks like there's no limits on it, like it's appraising some single word names in the millions of dollars and so on. Before we get to that Atom appraisal thing and Atom Edge, I want to talk about DNX, because Josh, you are going to be operating a registrar soon, and that's almost competing it basically competes with other registrars. Okay, not, and some people act like maybe it's not head to head, but Pork Bun's a registrar, Dynadot's a registrar, Adam's a registrar now. So when you're operating a registrar, you certainly would like to get domains under management. But about DNX, the work that you're doing on the Discord, that in itself, I see Leanne there. I mean, that in itself is a lot of work, but to build a community so people can talk domains. So that is a big part of DNX now. I see basically the Discord forum, and you're unrolling, rolling out all sorts of new features. But tell us, how do you plan on implementing or integrating the Discord with DNX, the website? I mean, why is it important to have the Discord?
I think that the domain community, I've always thought that the domain community is important. I think that's one of the reasons why, I have a pretty decent network, is because, I respect the people in the community, and I share a lot with the people in the community, and, in turn, they, support me as well. And, I spent some time when I was building DNWE, leveraged the community, and they ended up using my tool and enjoying it. And DNX is kind of a similar thing, but on a bigger scale. The community aspect is important. I enjoy it, and there's no doubt that domain investors are interested in the same thing that I'm interested in, because I'm a domain investor, and I like building products that are beneficial to us. So yeah, I mean, like, the Discord community is kind of is something that makes sense, and I'm glad to see it thriving at the moment. It's really cool. So yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, we've got a lot of things going on. We're doing a lot of things that some of the most innovative companies in our space are trying to do as well. And yeah, I mean, honestly, if you've used some of our things, you know that we build a good product, we build pretty quickly, but we have a lot more in the pipeline, and the registrar is just one component of that. Eventually, I would say by the end of this year, a lot of things are going to tie together, and I think one or two people might be surprised.
Josh, it's exciting. What you're doing is running a super tight ship, but it's fun to be compared to a lot of the places that have 40 engineers when you got a couple, and they got big funding, and you're doing this, reaching in your pocket. Hey, somebody needs some more money? Let me charge that. It reminds me of, I made a movie 20 years ago, one of the first ones I made, and there were some reviews, and I remember they said, it's no Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise. They said, Vanilla Sky is better. I thought, God, that's like, I built this boat myself, and you're comparing this to a Princess cruise liner. I mean, I built this with just myself,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
even. So it's awesome to compete. What you're doing, and you really, it must make you feel good. But the buck stops with you at DNX. So have you been feeling now? It's been a.
I mean,
really
I try not to like say too much about these things, but I think that we'll have the most domainer friendly platform in the entire space this year. I really do. So
How do you keep
yeah,
Darcy
I
out
mean,
of it from ruining it? I'm just kidding. I see Darcy here. We got to get him his
you
own
know,
little channel on the DNX.
Darcy's a good lad. Darcy
I know.
supports us
Listen,
as well.
Darcy's
I've
on. He's
bounce
like,
ideas off him as well.
yeah. I mean, he knows I mess with him, but Darcy's my type of person, and what I mean is he doesn't take any bullshit online. Especially, he doesn't even take your bullshit. Of course, when it's your company and your forum, he has to sort of kiss your ass a little bit. But anyway, I see Steve Kennedy here. Good. I hope he goes to listening, with the other listeners. 'Cause as soon as you shout somebody out, but it was fun seeing Steve at the at the event at ICA. Talk about, domain investors that unusual that somebody who's really almost always been a domain investor from college to now an adult 15 years later, and almost solely spent their time watching the market, the markets move. We're going to talk about other extensions and registrations over this last year, because in 2025 .com of course had the most registrations, but there's been a lot of other extensions getting recognized, and I'm betting that Josh, you can't pick the number 2 extension. I guess we'll just go at it now. Do you know the number 2 extension that was registered in 2025? And I don't know if there were any specials related to this extension, so that could skew the numbers, but take a guess. .com, there were 4.6 million registrations in 2025. The second extension had 580,000. Do you know what it is?
Is it .org?
That would be my guess.
Go ahead, take a guess, Arif.
Yeah, I guess org is wrong.
Well, that was number 6.
Unless there's a MGTLD that says like a $1 coupon for most of
that
the
was number 6. .org was 452,000. It was number 6, but it was .info at 580,000. Is that just weird? I don't know. I didn't see any specials unless.
That's not weird. That's not weird. Unstoppable was giving away .infos with every single registration of .com. So
I thought it was the .link, but they're doing that now. The .link is now.
I think it
was .info.
Or maybe it was Dynadot, but someone was giving away .infos. Maybe it was Dynadot.
Okay, so that's the tricky thing. All right, well, getting back to DNX. So did you see what name I bought this past week on DNX?
No.
Sexmarket.com. I love
Oh, nice. You ended up getting
marketing
it. Nice.
But yeah, it was $1,500. I mean, I'm loving, and I know people were saying sex toys market would be, but it wouldn't be better. I know sex market, they're worried about trafficking, but a lot of people know, what a great, 3 syllables with market is, I just love it. I love it. But so I saw that Mike Seiger had picked up Play Pyramid, and he mentioned that you helped him get a good price for it. I still bet it was it had to be low. I'm going to say it's either super high, 9,000 to 12,000, I'd say would be the cheapest. But am I right? No, you can't say. But...
No, it was low 4 figures.
Oh, geez, good for him.
So.
I know he's pretty tight, so I'm surprised. But I figured he got paid on that other one, on the big sale of his Dragonfly. So I thought, he's out, spending money. And then I saw as soon as he sold Dragonfly, of course he was at ICA, walking around with money sticking out of his pockets. He said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to go to Dubai." I saw a post, for the Dubai thing. So life's pretty good for Mike. I hopefully like to do something with him this year while he's got money. Anyway, Play Pyramid. It's obviously smart. What do you think, Josh, about when he was using Pyramid for the game? Do you think that does, and I'm saying more in general, does that hurt a name because somebody that wants Pyramid, a big buyer, goes there and thinks it's already in use and doesn't? Do you think that detracts from potential buyers when you use a premium name for anything other than a for sale lander?
Yeah. I do.
Yeah, and
I mean, that's the reason why he's changing it.
Yeah, that's the first thing too. Is he's he's an alternative domain for when he sells Pyramid, right? So, but he was having fun, right?
He hasn't sold it, but I think that there was a little bit of misinformation flying around about how these super premium names, you should kind of develop them, and the right buyer will try and find you anyway. But I think it's quite frankly not true. I think the data is pretty clear actually that when a domain is not clearly for sale, even the top buyers just assume that you're not able to get it at least a small portion of the time, which is suboptimal if you're in the business of selling domains.
Yeah, it's all about percentages. And there will certainly be a percentage of people who will reach out no matter what, if there's something there or not there. But then there's also, as you said, that percentage of people who they see something there, they're just going to move on to their second choice, right? Or maybe it's not even that's not even their first choice. Maybe they have like 3 or 4 first choices, and that one, seeing something built out, just makes it easier for them. They eliminate that choice and they go to the other ones. We've had this discussion in the other rooms a little bit more often, Josh. I think on the Saturdays you're not through there, but a lot of people say, "Oh, you build out," and in one sense, yes, like the value of domain is highest when somebody builds it out, right? That's if you have a business there, that's what domains are for. But as an investor, depending on the domain, sometimes it can really detract or be distraction, and it's not always like white or black, right? Black or white. Sometimes it's exactly that. It's just a percentage here and there, and those percentages add up over time. And like putting something up there is a distraction for not only just for the buyer, but also it puts in your time. Like all of a sudden, again, I say if you want to build something out, do it. Like it's the best thing you can do with your domains. But like, don't turn your portfolio of domains that you were going to use to flip and just be a domainer and say, oh, I'm going to build them out because they're not selling. Right? That's you got to get different domains for different things. And if you're building something out, you buy the domain for that purpose, and not the other way.
The simplest way I can describe it is that it's very, very it's not uncommon for a domain investor to acquire a premium domain that was hard to get in touch with the owner on, and then very quickly sell it because whoever the main buyer was for that domain name realizes that it's now for sale and is able to acquire it, while whatever friction that existed before, for whatever reason, prevented them from trying to secure a deal, and it happens a lot. So
yeah, I know you've done that sometimes, but I think your old partner, the other Josh, I think he's pretty strong at that kind of stuff from what I could tell.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Andy's done it
yeah
multiple times over the last year. I mean, just names that were pretty hard to acquire for one reason or another. He puts up he makes it known that the name is for sale, and within months, sometimes weeks, turns the name and sells it for a big number.
My wife's asking me if I'm almost done. No, we got 1 hour left, and I wanted anybody who wants to join us on stage, me, of course, Josh, Arif, and Jason, come on up, and we're going to talk to me. I got a lot of topics to go over. Josh,
I bought a .org last week, Todd,
Yeah.
that you might like. It was republicans.org. What do you think about that?
No, it's actually a pretty good name. I mean, I like it. Of course, we're going to talk about your post. Might as well do it right now. So you wanted to post that the guy that got killed, he had kicked out a light before, right? So that's like saying, hey, this guy had robbed a liquor store before, so now he's got killed. So yeah, I'll tell you, bad thing. So what was posting the guy that kicked out the light? You just wanted to show that, yeah, this guy he's a troublemaker.
Me?
Yeah.
I just reposted something that I thought was interesting.
Oh, sound like trouble. I don't know. I just reposted. You thought it was
Did I
interesting.
comment? Did I comment on it?
Well, no, you didn't.
What did I say?
You don't have. The comment was the repost. That was, hey,
I'm not allowed to repost.
It's like
I'm not allowed. Wait, hold on a second. I'm not allowed to repost things that I think are interesting.
Well, no, I never say you're. Of course, you're allowed. I'm just saying that was the statement. You're saying. I take the statement as well, just like NBC News. A lot of the news channels.
Retweet. Hold on a minute. Retweets a statement.
Sure. You don't consider.
Everybody thinks things differently, man. Some people will think so, some people won't. It's just we're living in that world now where everyone wants to believe what they want to believe, and
I actually think it's a pretty important topic. Retweets aren't endorsements or statements.
It's not
or anything.
right. It can mean either one. It could be like you could post something and think, "Look how ridiculous this repost is," and of course, without a comment, we would know. Or, "Look, this repost I want." Usually, I think most people repost to say, "Hey, in case you didn't see it on your timeline, take a look at this." Basically, just want to bring more attention to it, and I'm not, I don't have an issue with really with it. I think what type of statement does it make? Because I see a lot of, say, left-leaning news channels they were talking about it and showing that, and it's like, all right, well, what is
I'll
the
tell you,
the
I'll tell you
statement is
what
to
it looks
show
like.
there's more.
What it looks like to me,
You know,
what it looks like to me, and the reason why I reposted it is because I thought it was interesting that there was, at least when I switch on the news, I see a lot of news saying that, you know, this guy that was unfortunately killed was a peaceful protester, like super kind-hearted, very like didn't want to get into much trouble. Then I went on X, came across that post, same guy that's literally vandalizing a vehicle. There's just like the two don't quite match up, so I thought it was interesting.
well, let
Do
me
you
say,
see it
first
that
of all,
way?
NBC, ABC, CBS, all the ones that you say left, and CNN, they all were showing this. Look, this guy, this was a week ago. So none of them,
And what did they say
and they
about
were
it?
they were
Like that?
basically not saying anything like you, not one way or the other. Like, hey, make your own decision. Look, this guy
Well,
was
exactly,
actually,
exactly.
he was opposed to ICE going into areas, and and he kicked the car light and he broke the
He
light,
looked.
and he
It
was, yeah,
looked
and
to
he telling,
me,
it's like
looked to me like he was looked to me like he was maybe looking for some trouble.
well, the
But
thing is, it's like I say, when someone might go to a store and if somebody's stealing from a store, yeah, they need to be in most instances, and even out here, get put in jail for it. But
well, it
with
would have
regards to,
that would have saved his life, right?
well, if he, to be, you mean, because then he wouldn't have been there the following week. But the whole point
Right,
is,
exactly.
yeah, I think some people find it really, they don't like it when someone says, "Hey, fuck you, ICE, get off my block," um, or when they're trailing, ICE, and then ICE gets out of the car and says, "Are you following me?" And the guy says, "Yes, I'm following you." And they're like, "Well, that's impeding." There's just some people that it's sort of like in the either side. Sometimes you want to resist the government. And of course, you don't want to stand in the way. So if somebody's standing in the way, of course, then they should be arrested. It's just the extreme of getting killed for it. And then people think, yeah, but the police officers didn't know, and where they ICE about pulling the weapons. So the point is, I'm thinking of
It's
all
the
the
same. It's the same thing with the woman that got killed. I mean, it's like, I think anyone with a heart or like any kind of like decent judgment, I mean, realizes that it's tragic, right? It's sad. It's a human life, and there's probably things that could have gone differently. But there's also, if you have some common sense, you know, you've got to look at the big picture and say, should you be there? And then from then on it gets, and like, are you acting appropriately? And I mean, they're not
Jason's got
acting
the thumbs up.
appropriately.
The thing is, no one's really going to act appropriately when you're really trying to resist. But I was going to say, yeah, if you have a heart, but you listen to the comments from the president to Kristi Noem, talking about people who sound like they don't have a heart. Because I'm with you. First of all, we can all know, here's how if this guy wasn't even there, or ran the other direction, soon as he saw that they were immediately try to get 50 feet away, 100 feet away, that, yeah, we know that probably would have saved his life. But sometimes people, you want to step in, and that's like, even if you see somebody getting abused on the street, whether it's a child or a woman or a man, and you want to step in. Now we know, listen, you can get, and this is just with say you see somebody abusing somebody else, and you want to step in because you feel like that's the right thing to do. Yeah, you're risking your life. Your best thing is to,
Well, of course you're risking your life. If you want to pick a fight with law enforcement, you're taking a huge risk.
and
That's the end. That's the end of it.
the thing is, because now we feel
But
like
in
when
neither
law
cases,
enforcement is
in
doing
neither
something
cases
wrong,
where people,
with normal law
in neither
enforcement,
cases where people died, nobody was picking a fight with them, right? They were either rushed or whatever it was. With the woman, I could concede that at the last moment, the guy who shot her, he might have feared for his life, but she clearly oversteered, so she wasn't intending to do anything. But the guy's perspective, I could admit that. Yeah, I think
Again,
the person most to blame for her death is the guy on the driver's side of the other vehicle that charged out, First of all, no uniform, masked up, armed, right? Like you say law enforcement, but they don't even appear as law enforcement. And then in this other case, the guy's pretty guy, he had his back towards him the entire time. They spray painted him in the face. Not spray painted. They put whatever is in his face. So of course he's going to fling around, and people are jumping on top of him. He's going to be like, okay, what's going on? He's going to, and it's just his back was to them almost the entire time. Like he wasn't going after them, right? Yes, when he went after the car, yeah, he could have been arrested, and he would have deserved arrest, right? Like people don't realize it's not all absolutes, right? There's certain things in certain cases you got to realize. As people in Minnesota, like there's kids who are going to sleep afraid of what's going to happen to them, what's going to happen to their families.
I don't think it's like for us honestly to comment on any of these things, and like that's why I said like I'm not providing commentary on it. Like I reposted it because I thought it was interesting, but I have no interest in providing commentary on it because everyone has a different opinion. But at the end of the day, I'll tell you this: nobody in here that I know is bringing a gun to a protest and trying to interfere with law enforcement. And like whether you agree with the law that they're enforcing, I don't care. Like that's your opinion. But when you do when you put yourself in precarious position, regardless of what it is, you're putting like there's danger. There's going to be danger.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, like in an ideal world, like I mean, look, I'm pro gun control, right? I'm in Canada, so like we don't really have as much of a problem as you have. We do have that problem, right? It's not all or nothing, but you guys do have the Second Amendment, which is not nothing, right? But it's for me at the end of the day is like it's funny because when I talk to people on one side, I always defend the other side and vice versa. Like I mean, I see people who are like don't want guns around. I go, well, there's people in rural areas or people who are really afraid of the government, whatever it is, and like you can't discount that feeling where they don't feel safe with the government supporting them. They really want to take their security in their own hands. However, end of the day, the numbers you can't argue the numbers. The less guns there are in a society, the less deaths there are.
We'll
right?
move on.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take.
It is. But Josh, it's not absolute about law enforcement. Law enforcement many times oversteps their bounds. And anyway, this guy had concealed carry. There's a lot of people there that you didn't see on both sides that have weapons when they go anywhere. They go to. You don't think they should have weapons at a fucking protest? That's where they have weapons at a fucking Walmart.
I'm a fan. Personally, I'm a fan of law enforcement. So again,
well, me too. Listen, law enforcement's always been on my side. The point is when they overstep their bounds. Okay, now it's like when ICE. I've never been around. I'm in the U.S. my whole life. People with masks. If a regular cop in L.A. came up with a mask on, we would be like, "What's going on?" And then not identifying yourself. No. This doesn't. No. We have law. We'll have laws against this, right. And it's not about being afraid. Who's afraid? The public's afraid of them. They're afraid when they're going to go home. Cops, their whole careers.
They're not afraid.
Cops, their whole careers have never worn masks.
They're not afraid. They're not afraid. They're not afraid, Todd.
Yeah.
I've done. Like,
how can you say they're afraid when they're?
You're talking about ICE, right? You're talking about ICE, right?
What do you mean? I'm talking about the people. I'm talking about the people that are getting in.
Well, are you saying is ICE afraid?
And stopping.
Is ICE afraid? They're the ones wearing the mask, so ICE is afraid.
But I don't think so.
You don't think ICE is afraid?
Okay, so we should probably.
Wait. Anyway.
Yeah, we should probably tell this. But I mean, at the end of the day, like these guys are masked up, whatever it is. Yeah, exactly. And it's like it's not just what they're doing. It's just they're also clearly just not trained. That's the biggest problem. They're masked up. But yeah, we're domain name investing. Let's get back to that.
Yeah, there
I could go on forever.
Yeah, there was a war started.
My question that led to this is I picked up Republicans.org, which I think matches the TLD extremely well. What do you think?
Yeah, no, and the thing is, I've never heard that democracy.com. There was some big names. I've never heard any of the big sales on some of these, great names, some of the political names. But yeah, Josh. So that one, I wanted to mention.
Most of them, a lot of them are developed. I mean, a lot of them are developed, right? Like Democrats.org developed. I mean, I think that these type of names I honestly think that these type of names can sell for a lot of money, but
Yeah, and that's not just a political domain. That's huge, right? That's a top political domain, like right. That's you're on
I think
another
so.
scale. Yeah, yeah.
I think so. I paid quite a lot for it. I think that it's like an elite political name, and I think political names do very, very well.
Yeah, and that's another example of a good domain where obviously .com is better, but the delta between .com and .org is much closer.
Really, I think the .org is better. I specifically went to find the .org.
Well, what I mean is like there's very few cases where the .org is better than .com, but this is a case where the .org is really, really good, and the difference between the two of them is going to be the smallest amount that you'll see in anything, right? Because that .org is like what .org is for, in my mind, right? I still think .com is always going to be stronger, but like the difference is going to be like maybe 50% instead of like 5%. It's really a big domain there.
You say that it is a pretty massive name, but Josh, how did you find that? Did you find it right on DNX? I mean, how did you?
No, Tom the broker helped me acquire it.
Boy, that's a big one. And no, that's
wasn't name finding, was it? Was this an average domain holder? Or was it a name finding name?
No. It was someone had owned it and registered it since the 90s.
Wow.
And Josh, do you have brokers work any of your names?
I have brokers working on it. I have like 10 names on domainnames.com. So yeah.
Okay, so there. But the reason I ask is because I wanted to talk about brokers that. So okay, first getting back to Republicans.org, what would you do? You put even a price on there, and what range are you looking for there? $500,000? Am I too high there? Too low? I know that's a .org, but it does really make sense. So now that you have it, what are you looking for?
I think I have it priced at like 250 maybe. 200? Yeah, I think I have it priced around 200.
Boy, what a smooth name for people to donate to, for a party,
Right, exactly.
It just, it's not, it is what it is. It's beautiful. Just like if it was Democrats.org, Republicans.org, it really makes sense for the party, and that is just nothing. So, anyway.
Are the parties, are they like the Republican Party or like Republicans, or what's their line?
RNC, Republican National Committee, and the Democratic National, and the DNC, Democratic National Committee. But they use Democrats.org, I think.
Oh, wow, even better than
well, and Eric, you bring up a good point, but I mean, Republican.org and Republicans both work. Democrat.org means a little different than Democrats.org, so I can see why the Republican Party would want to, have the equivalent to what the Democrats are using. It makes sense. Well, getting to some sales, this Circa, SIRCA, Josh, sold for $250K. Cito, Dave Evanson, of course, sold it. And I was saying, that's what I was talking about. Big brokers, working names. And I don't consider domain names. That's a platform. That's really, and I know there's brokers that are handling that, like white glove type of bullshit. So domainnames.com is the ultra premium GoDaddy /Afternic marketplace. So I can say that's sort of a hybrid of using a broker and just basically a powerful new, hopefully it's powerful and new marketplace. But so Circa sold for $250,000. I was going to ask you, what's your take on the future of brokers? Does it seem like if you're in the brokerage business, it's getting better than ever? It's going to stay the same? I say that because I'm going to get to Rick Schwartz and his idea of letting people broker his names, but yet they're not professional brokers. He's putting together this army of generals or something, but I wanted to talk about that. So what's your take on brokers? Is there a future in that area of the business, Josh? Is it getting better than ever or staying the same, or do you think we're going to see less brokers in the future? Can't hear you. Anybody else?
Well, I've never used a broker for my stuff. I do have a couple that I probably could use, but bulk of my stuff is the typical bread and butter domains. You guys know, like figures now. Lower five figures too. But I don't know. Like I'm hearing a little bit less from brokers these days. But again, I've been a little bit less active. But I know there seems to be more, like, I wouldn't say smaller, but like here, I think I saw a book down in the audience before. I know she started her own thing, so that's a new agency. But on the other side, like, I don't think I've heard anything from Kate in like a year. Is she still brokering, or she moved on to other things? Again, like, I don't pay attention to that because it's not my bucket. But I know, there's a lot of these other sort of spin-offs from the old Uniregistry. There's a few people there. I'm going to assume that they're still there, so that they're still selling stuff, right? If they weren't selling anything, then they would probably close the shop. But yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, I got switched from my Wi-Fi there. Can you hear me?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
sound a
even
lot
better.
better, Josh. Arif was saying about his experience with brokers limited, but so I consider domain names. I think you heard me. That's sort of a hybrid. But what do you think?
Yeah. No, I was
brokers?
literally just about to answer the question. I, I'm not going to comment too much further on where you're taking this conversation, other than to say that I absolutely think that brokers have a place. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean now they're fine. In my opinion, brokers are finally coming into their own. Meaning now they got a decade of experience, 2 decades of experience in a very specialized asset class. All right, so domains now are finally becoming, considered an asset, a digital asset in its own. And then these domain brokers, especially the ones that have stuck around. And when we were at the event, Arif just brought up Brooke at probroker.com, but Joe Udemy's there. Uh, Mark Daniels is there. A lot of brokers that you may not know of, but I mean, Jeff Garbett is there. These are, of course, everybody knows Andrew Miller and Andrew Rosner, but there's, and you bring up Kate, Arif, they're still, still doing business. I think many times, right, they're under the radar. I saw Tracy Fogarty there. Well, they want to keep things private sometimes, but yet you got to promote your business, and it's a
Yeah.
it's a weird business. But no, I think brokers now coming into their own. I think they're more valuable than ever. But I certainly don't think there's going to be. I think it's like domain investing. It's more difficult than ever because you have to really find. You got to basically find clients with great names, and then you have to then go bust your ass and help sell these names, and you can't just sit and wait for incoming leads. That's the old days. Of course, you love that, but basically you really have to hit on all cylinders. Okay, so Josh, what comment did you want to make before I get to? I'm going to say hi to Ragu, but yeah, I wanted to take this conversation somewhere, see if you guessed right. Yeah, yeah. I got you. But I'll make a comment first before we get to Ragu. Ragu, thanks for joining. I want to ask Jason real fast. Jason, I know you've worked with brokers and stuff, and you got some pretty big names. But are you right now? Do you have any names that are exclusive with certain brokers? Are you using any brokers? Yeah, you don't have to go. It's happening, and I think it's going to be a lot sooner than we think. A lot of folks in the audience now, I know, are um, experiencing or experimenting with some of these new agents that are trying to help sell domain names. They're getting better by the day. Raghu, I want to thank you for joining us. Um, there's one thing I wanted to say, but Raghu, go ahead and I'll gather my thoughts. But what did you want to comment or share this morning? Yeah, afternoon. Thanks. Out of your driveway? Jeez, that's terrible. No, but you don't like people coming. You feel violated. It's like when someone steals a bike, but let alone a car, you feel like, geez, that's right up next to the house. How it's it could be a dangerous person, but yeah, well, shut up, Bobby. You might be looking, it might not be updated. Josh is saying it's after Nick name servers. You're saying you see DNX name servers. Well, if he's updated it, maybe you're just not seeing it, or you're looking on a site that's showing it delayed or something. Um, Yeah, so Ragu, these big packs down here, these action committees for these. I mean, so you can imagine, yeah, it's going to be. You can imagine it would be a big buyer that thinks, especially if somebody that's going to try to develop it out, it's going to have to be an enormous buyer. Otherwise, it is Ragu very limited. It would probably go to a big supporter, a pack, or the party. But yeah, so the average person, they're not going to be able to afford it anyway. They're going to think, or even if they could afford it, the average guy that's going to spend few hundred thousand and think, what am I going to do? I'm going to, you'd really need to, you obviously want to have somebody that has a plan, but that's like with any great name, homes.com. Well, what is an average person going to do? A big company needs to have a plan and some capital and then go in and spring for it. Otherwise, yeah, the it's definitely not going to be worthwhile for a reseller, um, unless you got it at a fire sale. But anyway, I was thinking that. I mean, yeah, go ahead. Jason, maybe. Hold on. Well, yeah, I was checking when I let you up here on stage. I was trying to check to see who you were, and then I was like, I must have hit the button and just let you up. But no, I'm glad you had a regular question and didn't come crazy. So thanks, AA. Okay, I think a lot of people in this room are members of AA because of domain investing. But well, they say, at Afternic, when you're doing the lease to own, if you go 13 months, it brings down your commission as opposed to 12 months, and say you're the seller, but the buyer doesn't really know this. When they, if you offer 13-month lease and they go for that max, say that's your maximum, they're actually paying more for the domain name per month. Plus they're going 13 months. It's just weird how GoDaddy works it. But anyway, I would recommend going 18 months as your maximum. And then that way, if they do elect to go from 13 to 18 months as is their lease term, your commission goes down a little bit. And of course, their payment at 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 months is lower than a 12-month lease. So I think going right above uh, I think going right above 1 year is okay. If it's a really low price name, and some people just don't want to take a couple $100 lease payment per month, which I think, it all adds up. If as many names will not get sold if you don't let the buyer have the option. So to answer your question, AA, I would go with up to 18 months, no matter your sale price, unless it's really under 2,000, then I wouldn't even offer a lease. But anything I would go 18 up to 18 months, and that's because I'm thinking more of Afternics LTO. Other companies, you know, you, you have different flexibilities there, so that's a different story. But through Afternic, I'd go up to 18 months. What do you think, Josh? No sweat. AA, where are you located in the world, and what's your experience? How long have you been domain investing? Well, thanks for joining us. And no, we're familiar with name pros. A lot of us are. If you want, because now that you've spoken and you've shared who you are, if you want to share your name pros, whatever your ID over there, then we know. All right, so this guy's for real, and he's trying to sell names. He's over in Africa right now, and he's selling some names at wholesale price. What's your name pros ID? I'm ABC Productions over there. Yep. Okay. I just bring it up because a lot of these folks in here, we go on Name Pros and we're always looking for some stuff. And now if I'm there and I see you're selling a name, it says Dan XX, I'll know, all right, the guy, he seemed pretty honest so far. But I mean, well, thanks for coming up and sharing. And it's like, yeah, so it's part of like a running club. You're here now. Lace up. All right. Keep up if you can. If not, we'll see you, next stop. Um, no, it is nice having you. Thanks for joining us. I know it's late where you're at right now, but we do this every Thursday, noon Pacific. I'm fucking wrong. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. That's in the U.S. That's our U.S. time zones. We're going to go another 20 minutes today. We always end 11:55 a.m. for me, which is 2:55 p.m. on the East Coast, because got something I have to do every Thursday at noon. Talk to a bunch of lawyers, basically. And I was a small world with these lawyers, but I'm realizing a lot of the guys I speak with just had former law firms with other panelists that I know of. But I mean, very small world in the domain space, whether it's the legal side and so on. Well, I want to get to the good stuff now. I want to ask Josh. AA, I know you're not talking and you're not making any noise, which is fine, but still go on mute when you're not speaking, just in case something happens in the background that I don't want to hear. So if you can, go on mute. But Josh, I wanted to ask you, what are you hearing from your inner circles? Like when you talk to James, when you're talking to Tony Names, what are you hearing from them? Basically, what is basically some alfalfa that you can share with us from your private talks? I cannot figure out how to. It used to be so easy to mute somebody, but AA, there's no noise coming from you anyway. But I was just, for my own good, I can. It's just the weirdest thing. I used to just be able to go right to the people, and then the little two people manage space, and then you go down there and you see who's down there. But all it's giving me is remove from speakers, remove completely, invite to co-host. It's not giving me the mute chance. But anyway, no, Josh, thanks for sharing that. I didn't expect you to, I was trying to get it out of you, but some of the conversations you have privately, it's mostly the guys are still bullish though, right? Are they, you see any reservation about um, just domain investing in general, or basically is everybody just like, geez, what a great business that's getting better than ever? I mean, um, yeah. For all of you. Yeah. Yeah, let me step in here for a second. We have somebody new on stage. I want to welcome Aunt A. Just Aunt, please be patient. Just want to say to Regu, this is exactly what Josh was talking about. That sometimes it's really up to you. If you have conviction on the name, you want $2,500. I totally get it. But what I would have said to that broker is, okay, listen, I'm really wanting a floor of 2,500, but do not let this thing get away. You have $1,500. Please try to move him up, but do not let this deal get away. I will, and even and you have to have some. You got a relationship with this broker. You have to have some confidence in him, but at least you can say the two things that I'm really wanting this. Do not let this thing get away. I absolutely, will want to move this name because you're just too close. And Regu, I think you understood what Josh said is sometimes there may not be somebody coming around for this domain for a long time to come. Aunt A, welcome to the DNX show. Please introduce yourself and let us know whether you have a question or comment. Nice to have you here. This guy got cold feet. Yeah, must have jumped off stage. Maybe he'll come back. But yeah, because all right, so then you were firm. You were firm, and what happened? So the deal went away? I mean, now what I would recommend is if you think that name, absolutely, you're not taking less than 2,400 when you got a bunch of names, hardly any sales. If you think no, what I would do in that case is really look at the name and think, you know what? Would I part with this thing for 1,500? Do I want to reinvest in a better name, or do I just want to take that cash? I'd send to the broker and say, reach back out to this person and let them know if they're willing to do this thing before, now it's pretty tight at the end of the month, but I use stuff like that. If they're willing to go ahead and, agree to this deal in the next couple of days, I will do it for that offer that they've made at 1,500. Okay, then don't. Then you got it priced close to what you'd sell it for. Okay, so you can't replace it. Then you're saying sorry, no, and then wait for, I don't know, if you've got a lot of inquiries about that particular name, you know, previous, say in the last year or 2 years, yeah, then it would make me think, no, I want to stick with my price. If you've had the name 5 or 10 years, I've had some 15, never had hardly any inquiries, then it makes me more aggressive. Let me tell you about what I did because I want to ask Josh something. We're here 10 more minutes. If anybody wants to say something, you better come up now. But anyway, so I put all my names, I removed all the pricing. I just was frustrated that one, there was too many names that I thought I had priced low, and there was too many names that I thought I had priced probably high, scaring people away for no reason. And then also some names that I thought, geez, there's a lot of going on in that sector or so on, and I don't need to sell. So why do I have it priced like, let somebody, take it from me when I'd like to get double or triple that? So I've removed all the buy it now pricing. I've removed, this is on Afternic. I removed all the floor pricing. I only have minimum offer, and then I really made the minimum offer is $100 on 1,000 names, which obviously can cause a problem if you have some you think high quality names and you get low offers. The negatives are you're out of the fast transfer and there's no lease to own unless you change your listing. So what I've done is I thought I'm going to just wait and see. The very first offer I got was for $1,500 for cannabisdelivery.com. I said I want more than that, so I'm not even going to counter. I'm wanting substantially more, not substantially, but I'm wanting in the 5 figures at least for it, and it could be low 5 figures, but I didn't want to counter. I want them to come up with a better offer, and the broker was like, hey, then let's, okay, I'll try to get a better offer, but let's go ahead and raise your minimum offer so we don't run into this in the future. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but I'll probably end up moving my minimum offer back down. I think he's got it at 10 grand now, and I'll probably want that closer to a couple grand, 5 grand. Hold on there. I want to ask Josh, then I'll ask you what. With this type of negotiation, Josh, it's cannabisdelivery.com. I know you've done no research, just using the 2-word name, get an offer for 1,500. What would you counter at, or what would you be willing to sell a name like this for? 5,000, 15,000, 30,000? What are your thoughts? Thanks. And that's, real numbers, guys like me, you've owned them forever and got really zero cost, very low, but still just always believe this is going to be, this is big, this is big. And people use the term, but yet, no, thanks, Josh. That's right in line with what I'm thinking. Um, Arif, what are your thoughts on that?
Right. Also for Raghu, for what you're talking about, that's the one interesting thing with self brokering at GoDaddy is that every offer is valid for a week. So like somebody can come in, let's say for a $2,000 offer, right? And you say you have it priced at 4,000. And okay, so you say, okay, I'm a little bit flexible in this domain, but I'm gonna try and, you never say yes to the first offer. Some people say, or maybe you say, oh yeah, I can sell it for a little bit lower, but maybe I want 3,000 is my lowest thing. So you go back to $3,000, and then, you counter that the next day, and then they come back, go no, or whatever, or maybe we'll do 2,200 or something like that. And but sure enough, before the end of the week, you could still accept a $2,000 offer. So you have a week to play around, and then worst case scenario, you fall back to, if you're a starter domainer and you want to listen to what Josh says, is make that sale.
Yes,
You can do that. Yeah.
Arif, you're right about this, but the problem is I don't see any efforts coming from Afternic agents, and they
That's a
simply
different thing.
tried to ask for $2,500, and the buyer says no. It's okay, and he's replying me back, a buyer disappear. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I don't see any efforts putting by the agents of Afternic.
So
That
here's
is
the
what
thing:
I'm
is the
talking about.
communication. Yeah, the communication between many brokers, that after brokers and sellers. I will not concede. I've actually mentioned it being a real point of failure with them, because they put in this new system in place where the communication is possible, but the brokers just don't use it in an efficient way. They do in some
Exactly.
cases. Yeah, they do in
Yeah.
some cases, right? Some do, some don't. It doesn't mean they're not working in the main, but also at the same time, we also have to realize that there's a lot of false positives in this industry, right? People who come in, tire kickers and whatever it is, and it just happens. And so, yes, the broker is going to look bad, but there was really, for that specific potential client, there was like literally a 0% chance they were going to buy it anyways.
Everything can work out, the price, negotiation, flexibility, as long as because I'm only have one communication with the agent, and the agent is actually talking with the buyer. And I used to have this uh, privilege where they used to suggest to me, Raghu, this type of names are selling for this much. I think you should do this and that. Now these days I think it's not working anymore for me. I don't know what the reason is, but I don't see agents are showing much interest in a small sales, or maybe they're busy, or they're getting tons of other sales. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
really
and let
don't
me
Well, I
know.
mean, look,
say, because we're done for today. This is ridiculous. First of all, we're done for today. I was going to give you guys a big push, and that is go to Snagged on X. They're looking for a domain for the collectibles, for a collectibles company. And they're looking. They're just going to spend 30 to 50 grand. Rob and his partner over there really do are serious about it. So you have a good collectibles name. Check out Snagged SNAGGED, right here on X, and they got a post up. But I wanted to say, yeah, think if you're a broker for Afternic, they're all different people. Some of them, you're right, may not even be that interested in wanting to sell your name, or they may think, you know what, this name and this guy, and I don't care. And so then what you need to do is just separate yourself from the platform, or go to their complaint desk and say, I don't think this broker is really doing enough, because many times he might think, you know what, this name is not, he doesn't want to spend time on it. Maybe he does have a bunch, and I know as you as the seller thinking, well, I don't like that then. Well, then you just need to go someplace else and not rely on them. But it's really just like going to a auto repair. I don't like, he looked at it too fast. He didn't care. I told him to check this more, and I just don't think he checked all the fluid. Well, then you're going to have to find another place. And you're like, well, that's the only place within 100 miles of me. All right, then you better, realize sometimes you get different mechanics at the shop. I just think, we all know the story, and Arif and Josh were mostly right here, and that is, names hardly sell. Sometimes you'll get an inquiry and you not one 10 years prior, not one 10 years after. So you have to be the one that decides. And Raghu, you're one to, hard to put our finger on. You're very experienced, yet you still have like issues like all of us as a domain seller. You're very experienced, and like you have the answers. Really what needs to be done. I don't need to tell you. Then flip them off and never go back and use their service. But yet that's probably not the right answer either. It's just I would say domain. Next week we got a lot of things on here to talk about. We're going to be finished for today. I wanted to finish, but Josh has already gone about my Rick Schwartz thing, and that was basically I was going to tell Josh, if Josh posted, I'm doing this with some of my best names, I'm going to not use brokers, but I'm going to use these generals, and I'm going to start my own thing. Maybe good, maybe not, but I'd probably tell Josh, oh, you're going to do that, huh? And that's what your new plan is, and you're going to up whatever they call it, you're going to really, what do they call that, Arif? I got to go now. What do they call it when you go into an industry and you sort of, it starts with the D, you D something to it, I forget the word I'm looking for.
No idea.
Anyway, it's sort of like it's like an uprising, but it's you cause problems. You decapitate it. No, you do something to it. I forget the word. I'm sure everybody knows. But anyway.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's eluding me too. Well, you shake it up. I guess what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, shake it up. You shake it up. And the word I'm talking about. But the point is, I bring it up because if Josh was doing something like this and posting like Rick was, you can get on your friends and say, hey, oh, that's what you're doing, huh? That's you really know you're a real. Rick can't take the, if you said that to him personally, oh, and this is the reason why, and you don't know anything. But I'm thinking, yeah, so I'd like to see the experiment, like to see what he's doing. Am I like, it's like super impressed? No, it's like I think, why not with relationships with some of the big time brokers go do this? All right, I'm running late. I appreciate everybody being here. We're going to be here on DNX Show, and we'll get into it even deeper next week, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. That's every Thursday. Thanks for joining us. Until then, take care.
Thanks for him, Todd. And the word you were looking for was disrupt. Take care, guys.
Yep, thank you.